Let's take on Pokemon Gold with only a Ledian. This Pokemon is a bit of a mixed bag. It's a really cool design, sort of looking like a fighting type due to its humanoid features and its 4 little fists. Its level up learn set is extremely lacking, but the TM and HM learn set opens up many excellent options to us. Strangely, it doesn't learn any bug or flying moves, so we won't have any stab moves available to us. For this challenge, I won't be using any items in battle, and I'll be playing through the entire game until I beat Red. Now, let's get into it. In this run, I replaced Chikorita so that the rival will have Typhlosion as his final Pokemon. After grabbing Ladybug, I head out to do some training. The first couple fights do not inspire confidence. I can't deal very much damage and I'm taking a lot of damage. Because of this, I want to be at least level 8 before I take the rival on. At level 8, I think I'm ready, but this fight deflates my confidence even more. I try to use Supersonic to confuse the Cyndaquil, but it doesn't hit itself. After landing a Leer, its first attack does a lot of damage. Am I even going to be able to do this? I finally get some good confusion luck and it hits itself. That allows me to take it down the next turn. Alright, so far so good. Yeah, the rival in this generation, he can still be named Butt. Let me know in the comments below what you used to name your rival. Moving on to Sprout Tower, this gives me a chance to level up a bit more before taking on Falkner. The final sage in the tower is a tough fight for Ladybug. He has a level 10 Hoot Hoot, which is quite intimidating. With some supersonic luck and a couple of attempts, I finally take it down. I forgot that after Hoot Hoot, there was another Bellsprout. Yikes. Luckily, it can only do 1 damage at a time. After finishing it off, I'm ready to attempt the Flying Gym. Watch the first trainer with a level 9 Spearow completely destroy me. Peck is dealing so much damage. The second time I fight him, I get good supersonic luck, and I take down the Spearow. Falkner is hard. I can always get past his Pidgey. The issue here is just taking damage. The Pidgey gets me regularly into the range where Pidgeotto can 2-hit me. Occasionally though, it gets a range where I survive the second hit from Pidgeotto with 1 hit point remaining. I'm really relying on Supersonic here. I get Pidgeotto down into very low health. At this point, I need it to hit itself one last time in confusion. It does, and I finally defeated Falkner. It took me 11 attempts to defeat him. Not that bad, but considering I was 5 levels above him, it's honestly not that encouraging. I level up to level 18 before entering Union Cave. This allows Ladybug to evolve into Ledian, its final form. The reason I did this is because there's some challenging hikers that have rock-type Pokemon. Because of my current moveset, I don't have access to any special moves. These guys take a while to take out. Supersonic helps me deal as much damage as possible each turn. After clearing the cave, I can move on to the rockets in Slowpoke Well. These battles really aren't challenging. The final coughing does take a bit of time though. Now it's time for Bugsy. His Metapod comes out first, and this is an easy knockout. Scyther is next. It can deal good damage to me with Quick Attack, so I confuse it immediately in order to get the upper hand. I think that the risk reward on Comet Punch makes it the better choice here. After taking the Scyther down, I confuse the Kakuna. If I miss too much and it poisons me quickly, things could get really bad. So this confusion is just a way to increase my odds of success. That really wasn't as bad as I thought it might be. Bugsy was actually really hard for me to take out as a kid. Now we have a problem. The rival has a Ghastly, and it's not possible for Ledian to learn a move that can directly damage it. Ledian can't learn either Mud Slap or Fury Cutter at this point. I'll have to get through this fight with Supersonic. This reminds me of my Butterfree run where I wasn't using any special moves in Generation 1. In that run, the Ghost Pokemon were very painful to take down. But this time, I actually managed to take the Ghastly out on my very first fight. Quilava is scary because of Ember. It hits me with Leer instead of Ember with its first attack, and then Smokescreen after that. Not taking damage on these 2 turns sets me up to knock it out. After that, the fight is over as Zubat doesn't pose a serious threat. In Ilexels Forest? I don't know, this is one of those names that I just read as a kid, and I was like, yeah, that's the name of the forest, okay, I don't need to think about saying it. Anyways, in Ilexels Forest, I grabbed the TM for Headbutt. This is going to be my new go-to move. I'm so happy that I finally don't have to use Comet Punch anymore. Headbutt is a base 70 power move, so I think that Ledian is going to start feeling a lot better now. Whitney is next. I learned Reflect before entering the gym, and this is going to be critical in reducing damage from rollout. Clefairy takes 3 hits to go down. After 2 of them, I want to set up Reflect so that Miltank doesn't deal massive damage with rollout each turn. Once Miltank comes out, I set up Supersonic. The tricky part about this fight is that Attract does affect us, and additionally, I only have a few turns before Reflect wears off. If Confusion and Reflect wear off in the same turn, things can spiral out of control quickly. Working for us is the fact that Headbutt can cause Miltank to flinch, which delays Confusion from wearing off and buys a free turn. The fight that we're watching right now is fight number 5, and it was going really well, and then Miltank got Milk Drink. Great. In fight number 10, I confuse the Miltank on the first turn and it hits itself. This allows me to move into Headbutt, still in green health. The second turn, it hits itself in Confusion again, which is very good. The chance of it getting 2 successive rollouts now is much lower. On the third turn, it hits itself again and my Reflect wore off. Because of how much health I have, I make the decision to go ahead with a Headbutt instead of setting up Reflect again. Right now, it could one-hit me if it gets a critical hit with rollout. Flinch, allowing me to take the victory. 10 fights makes a really good Whitney battle in my opinion. I need to do some in-game errands before proceeding with the challenge. Grab the bike, squirt bottle, and the radio card. After that, I go to the department store and pick up the TMs for Ice Punch and Thunder Punch. I accidentally bought Fire Punch as well, but Ledian can't actually learn that one. Whoops. After that, I head to the National Park to grab Dig. This TM is going to be critical for success against Morty. Let's quickly reflect on the fact that a flying type bug Pokemon can learn Dig. Oh, Pokemon logic. Reminds me of how like Gyarados is a flying type when it doesn't have wings and it looks like a dragon. Funny story about the Sudowoodo. I actually didn't save before it. It ended up taking me down, and when I got back to the spot where it was to battle it again, it's just gone. So I guess I didn't actually get a chance to defeat it. Oh well. The rival fight in Burned Tower is very easy. Haunter is a one-hit with Dig. After that, Magnemite comes out, and I actually made a little noise out loud because I was so excited that I can just one-hit this thing. After my Butterfree run, I really hate this Pokemon. Quilava is easier now because I also have Dig. Morty continues the trends of extremely easy fights. His first 3 Pokemon go down extremely quickly. Because my only useful offensive move is Dig, I actually avoid the Ghost's attempts to use Spite and Curse. At the last Haunter, Morty finally lands a Spite and reduces my Dig PP to 0. Thankfully, I kept Supersonic. This move is amazing in these solo runs with weak bug Pokemon. The Haunter hits itself in Confusion, awarding me the Fog Badge. After that, I grab Surf. I want to compliment Generations 1 and 2 for putting HMs in places you don't always need to explore. It really makes you explore each location completely on an initial playthrough and forces backtracking if you don't. Obviously, it makes sense to streamline things in a modern game, but I'm always nostalgic and miss these wandering around experiences where I just like aimlessly searched until I found the item I needed to progress through the game. Those moments of discovery really stick with me even to this day. Also, pro tip, spend some time catching a flying Pokemon before heading across the ocean as well. I'm gonna do things in the proper order this time. I'll take care of the lighthouse and then sail across the sea to take on Chuck. If you keep left the entire way across the ocean, you can avoid all the trainers. So in the gym, I run into an unexpected difficulty. Let's talk about the fighting trainer named Knob. By the way, pretty unfortunate name, bro. I wasn't filming during our first fight because I figured it wouldn't be an issue at all, and then he one-hit Ledian with Rock Slide. The footage you're watching right now is the second fight against him. Now that I've had a couple chances to see what this is like, I've got a strategy in mind. Confuse Machoke right away so that it misses its first attack. After that, set up Reflect to minimize damage from Rock Slide. Then switch into Dig in order to take damage a maximum of 1 turn out of 2. This increases the confusion damage potential and decreases damage taken. In the end, after 3 attempts, this strategy allows me to win. My fight vs Chuck goes exactly how I believe the developers intended this fight to play out. Primate comes out and goes down pretty quickly. It's just a buff fighting type with the potential for good damage. After that, Poliwrath comes out, and I swear that the AI during this fight is 1000 times better than anywhere else in the game. I confuse it turn 1 to try to avoid Hypnosis. It doesn't hit itself and uses Mind Reader, taking aim at Ledian. I then thought I would use Dig to avoid the Hypnosis, but it turns out that Hypnosis can hit me underground when Mind Reader is on the field. 4 turns pass, it deals damage to me twice and hits itself once. In addition to the damage dealt, it lands Dynamic Punch and confuses me. This just keeps getting worse. Finally, I wake up and retaliate with Headbutt. It causes a flinch. Then I switch into Supersonic, but I miss. It takes aim. My next Supersonic confuses it and prevents it from using Hypnosis again. After that, 2 more Headbutts, and I take it down. By no means was this fight hard, it only took me 2 attempts, but it was certainly not an easy, streamlined, fun experience. Now for Jasmine. Going into this fight, I'm fairly confident because I know Dig. Ground types do not resist ground moves, so I'll be able to use it against Steelix to avoid rock moves. The Magnemite here are very easy. 1 Dig takes each one of them down. The Steelix is brutal though. It can KO me almost immediately with Rock Throw. My strategy here was to confuse it and wait for a lucky 2-turn confusion miss. When that occurs, I'm able to set up Reflect and Confusion and get into a Dig without taking any damage. Even when all of these things align, my Dig deals pathetic amounts of damage to the Steelix. After 23 fights, I was able to get it into orange health, and then Jasmine just used a Hyper Potion. Rethinking the strategy, the reason Dig isn't dealing much damage is because it's a physical attack. I need a move that is special. Examining the TM list for Ledian, the only move that I have access to that is special and can hit Steelix at this point in the game is Ice Punch. It's 2 times effective against ground type, but only half effective against steel type. That will work out to a neutrally effective hit. Hopefully the fact that it's a special move will give us the edge we need. I remove Headbutt in order to get Ice Punch. I'll need Dig to take down the Magnemite, and Reflect to survive the Steelix rock throws. After quickly steamrolling the Magnemite, I'm back at Steelix. Time to give this new strategy a try. I get Steelix down to a sliver of health, and then she uses a Hyper Potion. I tried this strategy around 15 more times, and then I just got frustrated. At this point, what I realized was that by trying 2 turns of setup, I was exposing myself to additional risk. Ice Punch actually has a chance to freeze, so I pivoted from this more involved strategy to just spamming Ice Punch and hoping for a freeze. This takes longer in terms of number of fights, but eventually I get the freeze and can just use Jasmine's Hyper Potion up without taking any damage. Note, I use Reflect immediately after freezing Steelix. This is because it can defrost in this generation, and the first time I froze it, I didn't realize this, and I got 1 hit by it the next turn. By no means is freeze a free win. After she uses up her Hyper Potion, Steelix defrosts, and I have to battle it normally now. I've already got a Reflect set up, so I move into Confusion to prevent damage. Rock Throw hits on the 2nd turn, and then in a crazy turn of events, I get a 2nd freeze. It took me 51 attempts, and this was the only attempt that I got a 2nd freeze. Certainly a stroke of luck for me. I smash through the Team Rocket storyline and end up at Price. Now Seal and Dugong aren't going to be an issue because I taught Ledian Thunder Punch. Piloswine, however, can be. The luck in this fight is astonishing. This is my first fight against Price. His Piloswine comes out and does very little damage to me the first turn. With that, I figured it didn't really know anything that could take me out quickly. Then turn 2, it goes for Blizzard. I was so surprised how little damage that did. 1 more Ice Punch would have taken it out, but it gets a Hyper Potion. I decide to confuse it at this point and try to get 2 more hits in before it can knock me out. Confusion doesn't work and it goes for Blizzard again, and misses. And then misses again. Alright, so this is really a lucky fight. Either way, I wind up getting the victory, and I can move on to the rival in the underground. Ledian is very overleveled at this point, and I've got an incredibly diverse move pool. Because of that, this fight is really easy. I just want to say that the rival in Generation 2 is really well written. Whenever he shows up, you just hate him. At the end of the game, when he finally evolves his Golbat into Crobat, it shows great character development. The newer rivals, if you can even call them that, are pathetic in comparison. I want Game Freak to give us another rival that I love to hate. The final rocket boss is easy because of my move pool. Now it's time to move on to Claire. With Ice Punch on my side, I think that this is going to be a simple fight. All 3 of the first Dragonairs go down in a single hit. Kingdra comes out and it doesn't take very much damage. However, it derps around and misses smokescreen after smokescreen. Then it switches into Dragon Breath and does almost no damage to me before going down. This is one of the easiest times I've had with Claire. Ledian did such a good job. Honestly, even better than when I have full teams of 6 Pokemon. The final rival fight in Victory Road is again easy. During these challenges, I'm really starting to like Pokemon that I've never used before or had no sentimental attachment to. Ledian is certainly one of these Pokemon. I've recorded this entire challenge in a single day. This little punching Firefly has a lot going for it. In Generation 2, it has a decently wide move pool, and with my current moveset, I'm able to take on most trainers without breaking a sweat. I'm really starting to like this thing. Will opens with Xatu. Ice Punch takes it down in a single turn. Jinx is the hardest Pokemon in this fight. I don't have anything that can take it down right away, so I just go for my only physical move. This takes 2 turns, and I take a decent amount of damage from Ice Punch. After that, the second Xatu comes out, and it also goes down to a single hit. Slowbro and Executor I have super effective moves for. With Will taken care of, I can move on to Koga next. Ariados comes out first and it lives through my first attack. Luckily it has Giga Drain, which basically doesn't damage us at all. Crobat is next. Ice Beam does really strong damage to it, but I usually take 1 hit from Wing Attack during this fight. That does decent damage to us. Venomoth isn't scary and generally misses its first attempt at Toxic. Fortress is hilarious in this fight. I previously had the idea that if I use Dig, I can just get it to use Explosion and destroy itself. Turns out that does end up working in the previous fights, so I go for it again this fight. This time it uses Protect 10 times in a row when I'm underground, and I waste all my PP just trying to take it out. Finally it goes down, and I can move on to the last Pokemon on Koga's team, Muck. This one is hard since Sludge Bomb does a lot of damage to us. Luckily, it goes for minimized first turn and then gets frozen by my Ice Punch. I can't believe I'm gonna say this, but Bruno is really hard. My issue here is Machamp knows Rock Slide and can one-hit me. The Hitmontop is a weird one. It knows Detect, which can really mess with our PP. It also means that Dig is basically useless. I use Supersonic first turn every time to not waste PP in the case that Detect comes down first turn. If the Hitmontop chooses to go for Quick Attack, I get a Confusion off. After that, switching into Thunderbolt gets the job done. Onix is easy, 1 hit from Ice Beam and it's taken care of. Hitmonchan can be really annoying. I use Dig to spare PP on the other moves. Because it hits Fire Punch against us every turn, there's a chance that it will burn us. If it does, the fight is over. Finally, I get into the Machamp fight without being burnt. This is where it gets really hard. I need to confuse it and get good confusion luck to prevent it from hitting us with Rock Slide. It hits itself twice, putting it in KO range. Here it gets a max potion and my heart sinks. Later it snaps out of confusion and goes for Rock Slide. The fact that it misses is the only reason that I was able to take it out. Thankfully, rock moves are really inaccurate. The final Hitmonlee gets frozen right away, and then I take it out. That took 40 fights. This is without my doubt my worst performance against Bruno ever. Let me know in the comments below how I could have made this fight easier. Maybe rest? Before fighting Karen, I relearned Thunder Punch and Ice Punch by using Attract and Dynamic Punch to overwrite those slots. Now I'm ready for Karen. She opens with Umbreon, and yes, I forgot to heal before this fight. I only realized that when I was rewatching this footage from the battle later on. It takes time to take Umbreon down. It's always very tanky and a slow battle, but I get it done. Next is Houndoom. This one is the scariest. I hit it with Dig and learn that it will be a 2-hit. Then it hits me with Flamethrower. I was so scared of this. I survive with 22 HP and I use Dig again to finish it off. Oh wait, again I forgot the max potion. Luckily this lets me get off 2 digs in a row and take it down. That was close. Gengar goes down in a single hit from Dig. Murkrow gets taken down by Ice Punch, leading to Vileplume. Now watch this. I was sure that Ice Punch would get the job done, but it doesn't. It leaves it at the smallest sliver of red HP. It then lands an acid. I thought this was it, but I survived with 7 hit points, and then I take it out. That was my first fight. It was so close. But I did give myself the handicap of not healing before it, so I guess I did pretty well. Champion Lance. I use my last ether on Ice Punch, and the fight begins. This fight only has one issue. It's Ariados. The first 3 Pokemon I can take out in a single hit with either Thunder Punch or Ice Beam. Ariados follows, and due to it knowing Rock Slide, it can obviously one-hit us. To prevent this, we can either get a range on Ice Beam or get lucky with Supersonic. My first attempt, Ice Beam didn't KO it, and on my second attempt it did, so this is how I learned it was a range. From there, we can tank one of Charizard's flamethrowers and then knock it out. Due to the fact that we're outspeeding the Dragonites, the final one is also a one-hit with Ice Punch. Well done, Ledian. That was the easy part. Red is coming up next. The gyms in Kanto are easy as they usually are. This time it was much smoother, moving through all of these because I didn't forget various items in Johto. When I did the Butterfree run, I just forgot a bunch of things like the bike. Surge is a bit tricky and almost beat me. After that, things get very smooth. None of these trainers really make me worried. Strangely, the Snorlax fight is actually the hardest thing in this entire part of the game. It was last time as well. Blue is very challenging. His Arcanine gives us a lot of issues. I really need to get good confusion luck in this one in order to actually get past it. I also need to get past it with a good amount of health left over. If I can't, then Alakazam will take us down at the end with a leftover Leech Seed from Exeggutor and its own powerful Psychic. It took me around 28 fights to get the luck required against the Arcanine and finally take it down while remaining in green health. After finishing Blue off, I spent some time training outside of Mount Silver in preparation for Red. Because this run has been significantly easier than my Butterfree run, I'll be training up to level 90 and then trying at that level to see if it's possible. Pikachu leads. Dig takes it down in a single turn. Charizard comes out and it almost always lands a flamethrower that does massive damage. I can take it out second turn with successive hits from Thunder Punch. Blastoise isn't too bad because Blizzard misses a lot and it sometimes sets up Rain Dance. When Snorlax comes out, it becomes very apparent that I'm going to have to level up more. Switching up the moveset to include Rest won't help either because of how much damage Body Slam is dealing. At least I tried. Coming back at level 100, I take the Pikachu down and tank the flamethrower from Charizard slightly better. I seriously considered using Rest against Blastoise. In the end, I decide that I could probably tank one Body Slam before resting up against the Snorlax. Against Snorlax, I attack with Ice Beam, and in one of my very first fights, I get a freeze immediately. I honestly thought I'd be here for a while before I got this luck. I was also prepared to try the Rest strategy and slowly wear the Snorlax down. A long fight like this would increase the chance of a freeze occurring, but I just got it right away. Moving on to Venusaur, it goes down in 2 hits from Ice Beam, and it does no damage, opting for Sunny Day turn 1. Finally, Espeon comes out. I made a tough call here to attack right away. I could have just ruined the luck that I got with Snorlax by making this call, but due to my typing, I was fairly confident that I would live through at least one Psychic. Luckily, it goes for Reflect first turn, giving me a chance to get another hit in. This Psychic almost stopped my heart. I survive at 33 HP and land a final hit the next turn. So I did it. I beat Pokemon Gold with Ledian. The most surprising thing about this run was how easy it was. There were certainly tough moments, but overall it felt really smooth. I think doing this one so close to the Butterfree run also aided this perception. I'm really enjoying these Generation 2 runs, and I'm excited to do more. Put your thoughts in the comments below. If there was a way I could have made this run easier, let me know about it. I'm always excited to learn more about these games, and your comments have actually taught me a lot to this point. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next challenge.